You're barely into your morning scroll when a headline slams into you like a freight train. $30 million transfer tied to Carmelo Anthony's parents. Feds arrive too late. At first glance, it feels like clickbait. Another dramatic post, chasing attention in the wake of the indictment. But then the sources pop up, two verified news outlets, both pointing to leaked financial records with explosive details. The documents show a massive sum of money quietly moved just before federal authorities began freezing assets. As you keep reading, the article outlines a complex network of wire transfers, some within the country, others routed through foreign accounts, processed under multiple shell companies linked to the Anthony family. This wasn't a one-time transfer. It wasn't a sale. It looked like a coordinated effort to shift assets. And then comes the kicker. The biggest transfer, $30 million, was completed just 36 hours before investigators officially signed off on the freeze. Too smooth, too well-timed, too perfect. Now, the internet's buzzing. Who warned them? Was it planned? Did someone from inside the investigation leak it to the family? Then a grainy video emerges. Carmelo's father leaving a bank, flanked by two men in suits. Low quality, but the caption sets the fire. They moved the money before the feds even got close. And now you can't help but wonder, if your fortune was on the line, would you have done the same? And more importantly, what else did they hide before the government ever caught wind? The story keeps snowballing. Late last night, an anonymous account, one that's been credible in the past, posted a detailed thread breaking down exactly how the money was moved. Not just the $30 million, but a chain of smaller transactions going back weeks. Some wired to distant relatives, others filtered through shell corporations. One especially suspicious payment, $1.7 million sent to a real estate LLC in a state where the Anthonys have no known ties. Now the speculation is in overdrive. Was this a frantic last-minute escape plan, or a slow, calculated setup that had been in motion long before anyone noticed? You're glued to the comments. People are digging up clues. Old photos of Carmelo's parents at an upscale auction resurface. A quote from his mother in a year-old interview talking about setting the family up internationally suddenly feels less like retirement talk and more like a quiet reveal of the game plan. Then it drops. A local reporter says they've got confirmation from someone inside the investigation. The feds were preparing to seize assets, but the transfers happened just under 48 hours before the paperwork was finalized. One line in the article hits hard. They moved before the freeze like they knew it was coming. That changes everything. It's no longer just suspicious, now it's looking like an inside job, and the questions get louder. Was someone helping them from within? Did they outsmart the system, or have someone on the inside feeding them the playbook? You're watching a breaking news update when the anchor suddenly stumbles, cutting mid-sentence. A new headline flashes across the bottom of the screen. Federal agent under review for potential leak in Anthony case. You blink. Did that really say what you think it said? The report is thin on specifics, but the implications are massive. A junior agent from the Financial Crimes Division is now being investigated for having questionable contact with someone allegedly linked to the Anthony family. No name, no concrete details, just one vague accusation. But it's enough to set off a full-blown online wildfire. Social media explodes. Insider confirmed. The entire case is compromised. They bought someone on the inside. Now, a new theory is gaining traction fast. That someone close to the investigation warned the family just in time, maybe even shared confidential timelines or details about the asset freeze. And when you remember how fast those transfers were made, suddenly it all starts to make sense. Then the next bombshell drops. A subpoena is filed for the phone records of a burner number. A number investigators say was used to contact a private banker just 12 minutes after an internal freeze request was created. That's not random. That's precise. That's coordination. Meanwhile, chaos unfolds outside federal buildings. Reporters swarm the entrances, microphones everywhere. The FBI stays tight-lipped, but rumors ripple through the ranks. This could turn into something much bigger than a freeze dodge. We're now talking obstruction, collusion, even bribery. You lean back, trying to piece it all together. A $30 million transfer, a potential federal tip-off, and now, a justice system that may have been breached from the inside. Now the energy shifts. If justice is supposed to move quietly, then how did the suspects move faster? You open your phone again, and this time, it's not just more headlines, it's live footage. A local news affiliate is streaming from a quiet suburban street, now packed with black SUVs and federal agents. They're parked outside what's believed to be a property owned by the Anthony family. Gated, calm, wealthy, at least it was. Today, the whole block looks like a federal command center. Agents move with quiet urgency. No weapons drawn, but no hesitation either. They walk into the mansion carrying large, black evidence cases and are followed by a mobile tech forensics team. The warrant? Sealed. But the vibe? Crystal clear. They're done playing. Within minutes, the footage is everywhere. TikTok, Twitter, YouTube. A clip goes viral with one caption. They're finally raiding Carmelo's family. It's real now. You scroll through the comments. That $30 million transfer triggered all of this. They move like experts. Who trained them? And just when you think the news cycle might take a breath, it doesn't. Another alert hits. Second raid confirmed. This time, it's a high-rise office downtown. a financial consulting firm reportedly used by the family to structure their transactions. Now, even the public narrative is shifting. This isn't just tabloid material anymore. This is federal escalation. Legal analysts are breaking it down live on news panels. You don't greenlight multiple raids unless you're expecting to find something major, says one former prosecutor. Then comes a statement, not from the feds, but from a spokesperson for the Anthony family. It reads, "We are fully cooperating. This is a politically motivated witch hunt targeting a successful black family." The internet splits immediately. Some call it a deflection. Others call it a setup. But no matter what side you're on, one thing is undeniable. If the FBI is conducting back-to-back raids on live television, what else do they already know that the public hasn't even seen yet? Before the dust can even settle from the raids, the next detonation drops. A respected federal journalist posts a thread that blows the entire case wide open. At the center of it, a leaked audio recording, allegedly between a private banker and someone closely connected to the Anthony family. The clip is short, muffled, but one line comes through, cold and unmistakable. "If it's getting frozen, move it now. We'll clean it later." The post includes a redacted transcript, censored for legal reasons, but even the snippet is damning. It doesn't just imply shady dealings, it screams intent. Intent to obstruct, intent to outmaneuver investigators. And that's all the DOJ needs. Just hours later, a breaking report confirms federal prosecutors are preparing obstruction charges against members of the Anthony family. Now, everything shifts. This is no longer just about protecting assets. It's about saving themselves. Then another name enters the spotlight, Travis Anthony, Karmelo's older brother. According to a confidential source, Travis acted as the logistics guy, the middleman who coordinated key transfers behind the scenes. One flagged account, registered in the Cayman Islands just 5 days before the indictment hit. But what really rattles the internet is what comes next. A timeline, painstakingly laid out by an investigative blogger. March 3rd, Feds initiate asset review. March 6th, internal freeze drafted. March 7th, $30 million disappears. March 9th, surveillance begins. March 14th, federal raids executed. Step by step, you see the pattern. They didn't just react, they were ahead of every move. And now people online aren't laughing anymore. The memes stop, the jokes fade. A new word starts circulating everywhere. RICO. Because if this was planned, if multiple people work together using shell companies, false leads, and insider info to dodge a federal investigation, then this isn't just white-collar crime anymore. This could be an organized criminal conspiracy. Now the internet's holding its breath. With millions moved, feds closing in, and the walls tightening, one question rises above the rest. What are they still hiding? And even more urgent, who's going to break first? It doesn't take long. After weeks of total silence, Carmelo Anthony finally speaks. But not through a press release, not at a podium. He goes live, black background, no music, no edits, just him. Eyes locked on the camera, jaw tight, exhausted. The first words out of his mouth cut through the feed like a knife. "I stayed quiet out of respect, but I'm not protecting anyone anymore." Within 2 minutes, over 100,000 people are watching. Fans, journalists, YouTubers, everyone waiting to see if he's going to sink or swim, but it's not a performance. It's a purge. Karmelo says he had no part in the money transfers, that the $30 million move was done without his involvement, funneled through legacy accounts and trusts he was written out of 2 years ago. He says he tried to stop it before things spiraled. "I begged them to think long term. They didn't listen. He doesn't drop names. He doesn't have to." The line that lands hardest, "They're not just risking prison, they're risking everything I built. And I'm not going down for nobody." The chat explodes. Is he flipping? Did Karmelo just turn on his own family? Damage control or confession? Then, just minutes later, it's confirmed. A trusted journalist posts, "Carmelo Anthony is now officially cooperating with federal investigators. He hasn't been charged. He hasn't been indicted. But he's agreed to testify." And just like that, everything changes again. People stop guessing who's guilty and start guessing who's next. Who else will crack under pressure? Who's already talking behind closed doors? Then a screenshot leaks. A quiet clinical update from the Department of Justice's internal system. The case tag has changed. RICO pending. And now, you know exactly where this is heading. Millions in motion. Family fractures. Federal leverage tightening. Someone's going to prison. The only question left is, who flips next? The headlines hit before sunrise. Federal RICO indictments filed against Anthony family members. You read it once, twice, a third time. It still doesn't feel real. Until the leaks begin, sealed court documents making their way online. Page after page outlining a case built brick by brick, wire fraud money, laundering, obstruction of justice, conspiracy to commit financial crimes. 7 counts in total. And they're not just going after Karmelo's parents. The entire inner circle is named. A cousin tied to offshore banking. A financial advisor accused of timing the transfers. Even a longtime family attorney. now alleged to have falsified asset reports. Then a photo goes viral. Carmelo Anthony walking into federal court, hoodie pulled up. No entourage, no expression. He's not there as a suspect, he's there as a witness. His name never appears in the indictment, but his presence speaks volumes. Inside the courthouse, cameras aren't allowed, but the hall is filled with sketch artists. One drawing spreads fast, his mother crying quietly, his father sitting still, hands folded, saying nothing. They plead not guilty, but the silence in the room feels heavier than any verdict. Then the first witness takes the stand. A former bank employee, now under federal protection, confirms everything. The call, the urgency, the voice that said, "Move it now." And just when you think it can't go any deeper, prosecutors drop this. Internal emails suggesting the Anthonys knew about the asset freeze a full week in advance. The judge doesn't react, but the tone shifts. This isn't just a case, it's a cautionary tale. Back online, the mood is somber. No more memes, no more jokes, now it's lessons. Power doesn't mean protection. Even bloodlines can turn on you. People say if Karmelo flipped, it's over. That money might have moved fast, but karma moved faster. And as the Anthony family awaits sentencing, only one question remains. Was it all to protect a legacy, or to hide a truth too dangerous to survive exposure? Because when the feds come knocking, it doesn't matter how much you've got in the bank.